Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where this week I've been daily driving this individual Java Green G87 2025 BMW M2. The G87 got a bit of an LCI, a very mild one, for the 2025 model year, and BMW sent us this car to live with for the week, and I'm excited to show you all what it's like to live with in today's video. We're gonna try something a little bit different today. As you can see, it's golden hour. It's an absolutely beautiful spring night. We're gonna start the video today. We'll walk you around this car, show you what it looks like inside and out. We'll start the drive, we'll do a bit of a spirited section, and then we're gonna end the video tomorrow after we go to sleep. And in the morning, we're gonna go to Cars and Coffee. We'll put Emily in the passenger carbon bucket, and we'll end in the parking lot of the Cars and Coffee. So I'm just curious to kind of try out a little bit of a new format and try to keep these videos fresh. But before we get into all of that, let's talk about what I think is the most attractive G87 I have ever seen. This Java Green with these silver wheels is absolutely stunning, and just the overall lines of this car, they grow on me every time I see it. And I know that's the cliche thing to say these days with these BMW M cars, because everyone hates them when they come out, and then a couple of years down the road we all start to love them. And I think that's exactly the case with this G87. I love the box fenders, I love the big gaping front end, though this bit down here does inhale just about everything. I pulled a Ziploc bag out of here with some questionable residue on it earlier, and didn't love that too much. And the BMW M5 that I road trip to Peoria had all kinds of stones and twigs and things. Looks like I just have a couple of leaves in here today, nothing too exciting. Oh, nope, we have a huge piece of a pine tree in there. Lots of good stuff. So that collects things while you're going down the road, but all of it comes together to make what is not a very offensive design overall, and I think it's just subtle enough to be tasteful. Now for 2025, we have a couple of updates. Most of them lie inside, but there is one related to our power. Now for 2023 and 2024, the M2 only made 453 horsepower from its turbocharged 3-liter S58 inline 6, but now for 2025, power is upped to 473, yet torque stays the same on the manual transmission equipped cars like this one at 406 pound-feet. Of course, it's rear-wheel drive, it has a limited slip differential, and an 8-speed automatic is available, and that makes actually a bit more torque. It's up to like 443 pound-feet or something for the 2025 model year. I didn't really look into the automatic car because I've got a manual, I've got the properly spec'd car. But man, I think this is just about the perfect recipe for an M car, because of course the M2 is the enthusiast choice. It's still the one you get if you like old school M cars. This is probably the closest out of the entire lineup. I've spent a lot of time lately in the M5, and while that is very fast, it's kind of quieted down, it's reserved, it's soft, and this isn't any of that. It still makes a racket from the S58. And oh my goodness, this lighting, this color, I'm a big fan. So let's poke around this, and then we'll jump in it and we'll go for a drive. The M2 for the 25 model year starts at just under $65,000. We're going to show you the Merino here in just a second. This one as spec'd is 82 grand. Big contributor to that is the carbon pack, which keen-eyed viewers will have already noticed with the carbon roof and the carbon bucket seats. Looking forward to sitting on those, or in those rather, for today's drive. In the trunk here, not a whole lot going on, but it is quite roomy. The 2 Series got quite big for its most recent generation, and that is reflected with the size of the trunk as well as the size of the back seat, which we will show you once we jump in. But let's just go over here and look at our Merino. You can see $64,900 base price, $82,075 as spec'd. That individual Java Green, $3,000 extra. Carbon pack, $9,900. Lighting pack, we have the Shadowline Lights, and I believe we have, live Cockpit Pro, Alcantara steering wheel. I do like that quite a bit. But biggest contributors, Java Green individual paint and carbon pack, adding about $13,000 to our base price. Well, let's check under the hood and show you this S58. This is just my favorite time of day to shoot a car, or to shoot pictures or shoot anything. It's just such a peaceful time. Under the hood, there's that S58 with lots of strut bracing. It's like a little triangle around the engine you can see here. And you already know what I'm going to complain about. This is technically an individual color, and BMW has done away with the individual plaques. And I'm an individual nerd, and I like to see that I paid $3,000 extra for my special color, and unfortunately, they don't give you that little bonus anymore. I think it's because they're kind of making this a bit more mainstream than it used to be. It's kind of to the point now where I suspect anyone can walk in and get an individual color, which I do like. I like the accessibility to have this wide range of colors, but at the same time, you should have kept the exclusivity with the tags, BMW. Come on, put them back. If I ever get one of these cars, I'm going to specifically request that they put one. And having owned an M car myself for a few years, I don't have to say that I'm a BMW M car fanboy poser anymore. I can be a legit fanboy of these things. So let's show you the interior, because that is my favorite place to be, second to the outside, of course, staring at this beautiful paint. But of course, we have these majestic carbon buckets that have the M colors on them, and the car is greeting me with the new iDrive 8.5 system, which we'll show you in a minute. But I do actually want to get into the back seat of this car, which does seem funny, I know, for an M2, but for a couple of reasons. For one, I want to show you the back of these carbon buckets, which are quite attractive to see. There you go. And also just to show you how legitimately useful this back seat is. I'm 5'11", sat behind myself here, and I can fit. I even have headroom with a camera on my face, and this back seat isn't even uncomfortable. You've got this little pass-through right here. You can have your backseat passengers grab things from the trunk. We don't have any cup holders in the back, but you do get this little tray that will hold a phone and won't send it flying if your driver goes around a corner quite quickly. We've got climate vents, so that shows that this back seat is actually meant to be used. Always like to see that, and shows functionality. You can tickle the driver or the passenger through these little cutouts in the carbon seats, I suppose. And then we have our M colors on the seat belt and the little pull to put the seat back forward. So quite nice. All right, let's contort myself, or fold myself out of this back seat rather. Okay, I took a really bad angle there. All right, we're back. Okay, so here's our other changes. Up front, we have a new steering wheel, which is massive. Using the DJI camera today, so this might actually not look as huge as it is, which is probably a good thing. And then we have the iDrive 8.5 infotainment system. Otherwise, things are mostly unchanged up here. I don't think they've really done anything else. Of course, we don't have physical buttons for our climate or anything. That all lives in the infotainment, which means the only physical button we get on the dashboard is a volume knob. All these other ones are haptic touch for our hazards, our defrost and such. I suppose our headlight switch over here, and our dimmer switch. Check that out. You've got a physical dimmer switch for the infotainment. Those are all physical buttons as well. As we saw on the Merino, this has the optional Alcantara steering wheel, which you all know, one of my favorite things in the entire world is an Alcantara steering wheel. We have that here. 6-speed manual transmission, love to see it. All this carbon fiber in here, part of the carbon pack. We've got cup holders. We've got a USB-A port, which is quite a rare sight to see in the year 2025, but we like it here. And quite a usable center console as well, with a little spot for your phone. Okay, well, I think that's probably pretty good. You guys know the G87 by now. Let's start it up and let's go for a bit of a spirited section. We'll drive ourselves to the highway, and then we'll pick this up tomorrow once we're on the way to Cars and Coffee. I think this is a car even the Porsche guys won't turn their noses up to, because at least it's a cool color. And if you're a BMW fan, you only have to pay $3,000 for your individual color, whereas Porsche people have to pay like 5 digits if they want a special color. So it's a little bit more cost effective to like these over Porsches. Seatbelt on. Down here we have set up for our M1 and M2 drive modes. I'll go through what I have mine configured to. M1, I have the engine in Sport Plus. I don't know why that was inefficient. It should be in Sport Plus. And then we have the chassis, everything else is in comfort, DSC on, brakes in sport, and then the M2 configuration, engine is inefficient again, I don't know why that happened. And then we have everything in sport turned all the way up in M2. You do have to do a double press to get it to do that. Into M1, that opens up the baffles in the exhaust, or the flap, the valve, whatever you want to call it. This M2 does still make quite the noise. This hasn't really been muted like some of the other newer BMW models that are new from the ground up. Since this car's been around for a few years, it can still sing the song of its people. Wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, everything works just fine as it does with these BMW systems. I haven't had any problems with it this week, so that is all good. As the sun dips below the tree line here, why don't we get this out on the road and show you what it's like to drive. We've even got our iDrive controller down here still. Love that. Java Green M2 reflected on the cluster, as well as in the little Forza Vista screen, as I like to call it. You can even see when I take my foot off the brake, when I put my foot on the brake, huh? Very cool. Cool, all right. Into reverse here, we do have a reversing camera, and this even has backup assistant, so you can program this to back itself into a spot, which maybe we should actually do that real quick. Apologies. If you just want to get to the driving content, I will put a timestamp, but I'm curious with a manual transmission car. Well, I don't know where it thinks it's backing up to. I guess it's going into a parking spot. Look at that! It found its own parking spot, I think. End route will be reached shortly. Okay, hasn't reached the end of its route yet. Parked! It thinks that's parked. Let's see if it actually parked. Well, it's taking up 4 parking spaces, which is quite on brand, I suppose. So, good job, BMW. No, jokes aside, you can actually set this to like back itself down a very technical driveway or something, but you have to let it learn first. And if you kind of let it do things on its own in a very faded parking lot where somebody has come and spoiled my lot and done some donuts, no idea who that was, it struggles a bit. But let's go out on the road and drive it. We're just going to start in M1 mode. Let you guys hear this a bit with the windows down, and then we'll put them up. When you're in the Sport Plus mode for the powertrain, the throttle response is a bit like an on-off switch. So you got to warn your passengers, of course. This has the gear shift assistant, as BMW calls it, so auto rev matching. And if you go for a granny shift, like I just did, it will make sure the revs stay correct for the next gear, even if you're not downshifting. Put these windows up. Auto Blip does a fantastic job. The system reacts very, very quickly to your inputs, and it's reflected on the cluster as well. You can see how quick that reacts. Shifter action is pretty typical BMW. You've got a little bit of that rubbery feel. I've always had a thing for this M2 shifter though. I feel like it's a little bit notchier than the rest. Say the M3 and M4, for example, and even the Z4 Handschalter. This is my favorite shifter, I believe, out of all of those. Sometimes it's hard to remember exactly driving so many cars back to back, but I'm not mad at this shifter. It does its thing. It doesn't like to be rushed. You do have to give it some time. But you can get through your gears plenty quick. Yeah, let's take a corner here. Plenty of torque to pull us out. The grip here is very impressive on these Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. Got a staggered setup, 20-inch wheel in the back, 19-inch wheel in the front. Love the way the silver wheels look on this car too. But overall, you get this really snug feeling in this car. Love these carbon buckets. I love the seating position. Now, this is something that you don't always get, especially in cars in this class, is the ability to sit so low down that you feel like you're in a proper race car. We've got Savage geese. I love how geese are just not to be bothered. And he's hissing as well. Bright green car coming at you at Mach Jesus, and you just slowly stroll into the middle of the road. I desire to be that unbothered. So this M2 does have launch control. And to launch the M2, you go into M2 mode. On the steering wheel, that will put our traction control into MTM. So if you have your M1 mode set up for that, it'll work for that as well. But with this manual car, clutch to the floor, accelerator to the floor, and then you've got a launch control. It'll prompt me here on the cluster, preparing launch control. You just got to be ready for that 1-2 shift. I'm sure someone that's used to this car could shift it faster than me, but for self-preservation purposes and not destroying BMW's $82,000 car, we'll take it easy. But this is supposedly good for 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. Obviously the auto car would be quite a bit quicker, but what's the fun in that? The ZF 8-speed is a really, really good transmission. And I wouldn't judge anyone if they chose it. But how cool is it that BMW still offers a 6-speed manual here in their baby M car? I think that is just the coolest thing. It will rev match first gear for you. Give you some Pilot Sport 4S ASMR. Driving this car quick is a little bit of a learning curve, but what I will say is if you're actually going to settle this car down, we're actually going to take it out of M1 mode, put it just into its efficient setting, it's pretty easy to drive from day to day. We'll talk about that a bit more in the next section of the video, but what I like so much about this M2 is it's approachable. And the reason I say that is because even though it's still an M car, it still starts at $65,000. This is the entry level if you want to get into your first M car, and I think someone that's a bit new with a manual transmission would have no problem driving this. Oh, they've got babies. Also, listen how quiet it is when you're not in M mode. Inputs are a lot more forgiving. Shifts are a lot smoother. It's it's a lot more predictable when you're just in its normal setting. And I like that for me too, because when I put Emily in the passenger seat, I don't want her flying all over the place while I'm trying to drive this car. So in its normal mode, the fact that it calms down as much as it does, very much appreciated. So let's get this M2 onto the highway, and we'll talk about what it's like to live with, what it's like to commute. And then at some point, there will be a time warp. We will go forwards in time like you've never seen before. I like the noise this makes between gears when you take your foot off the accelerator. A little my impression was spot on there. Get this off the line one more time. It pays to be delicate with this car. It pays to be careful. This is not really a car that likes to be manhandled. You kind of have to dance with it and kind of learn where grab points are, where it's happy. And once you get that dialed in, you really, really feel like a hero. And I do like a car that makes you feel like a hero. Take this out of its M1 mode. And here's the thing with this. This car is geared in such a way that at normal highway speeds, you're revved at just about 3,000 RPM. Say a little bit under. And it's to the point where you put your foot down in 6th and you gain 10 miles an hour before your brain can even process it. I mean, that's with like half throttle. As soon as the turbos spool up, it's just, you're there in no time. So you gotta be careful. Remember, this is built for the Autobahn. I don't think that was a German accent, but one day I'll figure out how to do it. I just love this. I'm sat nice and low, but I can still see out of this just fine. Visibility is nice. I've quieted the car down. Ride quality here is fine. I mean, it's definitely not soft because it's an M car, but when you have it in its calmed down setting, it does the trick. I'm not uncomfortable, and I think that's a common misconception with these M cars and also with these carbon bucket seats, is that you're just gonna be like, it's gonna feel like you're falling down a flight of stairs, but I'm cozy. Back a couple of years ago, the guys and I took a road trip around the entire perimeter of the state of Michigan, and one of the cars we drove was a BMW M4 convertible with these seats, and we all thought, oh, who's gonna drive that? It's gonna be a nightmare. It's gonna be so uncomfortable. But after we all drove it, we were like, what were we so worried about? These carbon seats are quite supportive. Now, they're very aggressively bolstered, and sometimes your left leg can be a bit uncomfortable when you're in a manual transmission equipped car and you're trying to rest your foot on the dead pedal. Your thigh does rest on this ridge and it is kind of uncomfortable, but if you can get past just that one little tidbit, it's really quite all right. Give you a second to observe our NVH. Not too bad. A little bit of noise from really everything, the tires, outside noise, but that's kind of what I want in this car. I want some rawness. I want to hear what's going on, and I think if they muted the M2 anymore, it would be too streamlined. I know BMW is a luxury brand, but give me some rawness, and this is about as raw as an M car gets on its base level. I'm not talking like CS or CSL or competition, but M car to M car, this is the one that you feel the most in, and it's kind of always been that way, and I hope it continues to be this way. I hope they keep the 6-speed manual in the M2. Steering here is very quick. I mean, You can see, even on the highway, the smallest inputs do kind of send you flying. And if anyone's watching me right now, they probably think that I'm on something. So we'll stop that. But modern M car steering isn't really the most renowned. People don't rave about this. But I think I feel the most connected to the M2. It's not the greatest in the world. You don't really have a great idea of what the front end is doing. There's almost like a little bit of a delay to it. But it is very quick. It's very, very quick steering. And I appreciate that there's actually a little bit of a lightness to it when you're in parking lots. Anyway, all right, well, let's go ahead and fast forward to tomorrow. We'll give you some more driving impressions here. And we'll see what we can find at Cars and Coffee. We've jumped about 12 hours into the future, and the cabin has a much more inviting vibe. Good morning.
Good morning.
We are, 10 minutes from Cars and Coffee?
Yeah.
Figured we would continue our highway impressions and then kind of wrap up what it's been like to live with this M2 this week. And while I don't really have anything in mind right now to say, because I've only been awake for about half an hour, but I was saying yesterday that a lot of people think these carbon buckets are going to be like falling down a flight of stairs type thing, like really uncomfortable. But I have loved them this week, especially for the possible seating position to be very low down. But I was curious to get your thoughts on getting in and out of them, as well as just sitting in them on the highway.
Getting in and out, no biggie. It's fine.
Okay.
I feel like this bothers me. I know that there's
Does
a
it?
purpose, but it bothers me.
Just keep your legs in
I
place.
like to sit like this,
Oh, right.
but I mean, you can still do that, but
Yeah.
your bottom
Okay.
leg's on a lump.
Well, you see, that's a top tip. If you have a girlfriend or any significant other that likes to sit cross-legged in the passenger seat, maybe consider the comfort seats for your M2.
That's probably not safe. Somebody's going to tell me that's not safe to sit cross-legged.
Don't sit cross-legged. No, but seriously though, that's why I like to have your impressions sometimes on these cars, because it's things that I don't often consider.
Yeah. I mean,
New-
I'm
new
relatively
inputs.
short, so
Yeah.
sitting like with my legs out, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm laying down on this. That's okay then.
Well, the 2 Series itself is a bit more open now because they've made it a bigger car, because every time a new car comes out, it gets bigger.
Right.
So there is actually a pretty good amount of room. I will say though, the actual center console, like when I go to change gear, and if you're resting your elbow there, I
Yeah.
do bump into you. So
Yes, you do.
it's not so big that you feel like you're swimming in the cabin, but you do have enough room. And then also the big dumb cup.
Yeah, the
Oh,
big
you're
dumb-
holding it.
I'm holding
We'll
the
try
big dumb
putting it
cup.
there and show them what happens.
It does mostly fit here, but
Yeah,
it gets in
but
the
then
way of.
when I go for 3rd or 5th, I punch into it.
And then also the big dumb cup does not fit.
Yeah, so
So just hold your big dumb
she
cup.
just holds it.
We like to stay hydrated. It is a big dumb cup.
Sorry to cut you off there. This, I think, is a racing tractor.
It's got a sticker on the back that
It's got
says
sponsorships.
It's only money.
Or maybe one of those tractors where they tow, like, do tractor pulls.
Yeah. Definitely racing.
That's very cool. It's just unbelievably smooth and confident at higher speeds, and it's a BMW, so it should be. I mean, these are meant to go on the Autobahn, and this has the M Drivers package, which raises its top speed to 177 miles per hour. Would you like to test that out?
I would not.
Okay, I agree. But it is able to do it. This week we've been averaging 17.4 miles to the gallon. That is since we've had it over the last 185.2 miles. Done some spirited sections, handful of launch controls. You know the deal with one of these cars. I just love this. I love a good, small performance car that is still usable. And I think this kind of like sits on that line where you still have actually quite a usable back seat. I fit back there.
Yeah.
It's got a usable trunk. Would be nice to have more places to put things, but I think it's nice to just have a little bit of size for a daily driver. You kind of get the sense of safety as well. Like if you get crashed into, you're not going to die in this car. But I've said it 5 times. I love the seating position. I love how low you can sit with these carbon buckets. And I fear this may be the last kind of like traditional raw M car before everything starts turning into a plug-in hybrid or just kind of gets smoothed out because of the European regulations like we're seeing with the new plug-in hybrid M5. So I really appreciate this car quite a bit. And I don't want to see it go anytime soon. And we should still have a few years of this because 2025 is the LCI. Kind of. This is weird. I started the video yesterday. I'm like, what did I talk about yesterday? What did we discuss? I don't know. I may have said some things twice. It's a little bit of a gloomy morning. Oh, there's a good amount of people here still, though.
Yeah. Well, it only just started.
Yeah, it started 45 minutes ago. 996 Aero Kit. Nice. Ooh, an XLR-V. There you go.
Priorities. Look at them. Look
Oh,
at how sweet.
Sweet dogs. Oh my goodness, a Ford Aspire. See, this is why I love cars and coffee. You've got a Heritage Ford GT over there, okay? And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's a purple Ford Aspire. You never know what you're gonna get at these. Aston Martin Vanquish. Even on a gloomy Michigan morning, you get all this cool stuff.
Spot? Oh, no.
Where?
Hiding.
Oh.
It was hiding behind me. Oh, there's a spot.
Park right here.
Oh, I'm Roadster.
I'm Roadster.
Nice.
There's always like this amount of pressure when you're parking at a Cars and Coffee
And
because
everybody's looking at you.
everyone looks at you. You don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
These are kind of small parking
We're all gonna
spots
watch
too.
you get out with your PLV setup on.
We're wedged in here right now, I guess, but I'm not worried about getting dinged at a Cars and Coffee. I feel like people have
Gosh,
respect.
especially
So
between this here. Good.
yeah, S4 and a I don't even know what that is.
Old something.
Mercury Monterey or something, like an old 50s Mercury. Okay, guys,
Right?
well,
Time for some breakfast.
let me know what you thought of this little split day video. And also, things may have been left out, so let me know in the comments if you have any questions about what it's been like to live with this M2 this week. But we're going to get out and enjoy this Cars and Coffee, Emily's favorite activity.
I do
You know
love
those memes you see about how it's like telling my girlfriend we're going for a morning coffee date, and then we show up to Cars
Yeah.
and Coffee. This is your ideal
This is
morning
my
coffee
ideal morning
date.
coffee date.
You've even got your BMW. You match the car. Check that
Kind
out.
of, I do.
All right. Well, I'm gonna squeeze myself out of here and not ding this nice Audi next to me. There we go. Can open the door one click. Cool. Give you guys one last look at this. That will wrap it up for us today. Well, we will see you in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care.